Hey guys, how are you? It's Colleen Gallagher here, and I'm just so excited to be here. And I'm super excited to be presenting episode 85 of the Colleen Gallagher podcast. I have a little bit of a tickle in my throat, if you can't tell. Today was one of those days. As I said a few weeks ago, I definitely didn't want to show up. I want to be cuddled in my bed. I am almost like, oh my gosh, so frustrated that this is occurring for me because I never really get what's this called? Sick, or never really have like anything wrong. So it's kind of a realization for me of the remembrance of when I did get sick a lot and what that feels like and how much it prolongs you from not being able to do the things that you actually want to do in this life. And so anyway, I'm super excited to get in this episode. It's episode 85. And for those of you who have never, ever tuned in before, I just want to say a massive welcome. I'm super excited to have you here. It means so much to me that you choose to tune in to receive the frequency, because I know what this podcast was intended to create. And for those of you who are returning, oh my gosh, oh, hey, I'm super excited you're here. And so just for a little bit background before we get into today's episode, this podcast was created with the intention to be a space that you can come and tune in to receive a frequency that will activate, educate, and empower you to begin living a lifestyle you love that supports you financially. This became a passion of mine because I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer at age 14. And after 9 long years of suffering, I self-healed my body, mind, and soul. So in these episodes, I bring you my own voice as well as people I meet along my journey to offer perspective, inspiration, and real life proof that when you choose to follow your dreams, you say yes to what is inside of your heart, that you do begin to create a lifestyle that is wildly impactful, fulfilling, and abundant beyond your wildest dreams. And so with that, get ready to tune in, subscribe on whatever platform you listen to, and make sure to leave us a review and let us know what you're loving. You can always email us on my website, www.colleengallagher.co, to request episode topics and let us know how everything's going for you. And so with that, let's get into episode 85. So for those of you who don't know, this is really, really exciting. Oh, shoot, I should have brought it here. But my first book, Live Your Truth, is now moving from self-published to publishing. It's now published. So every single book that I have is now published through a publisher, which is like just such an accomplishment. Because as you guys know, there's so many books written a year, so many publishers turn away authors. And when you first start writing, it's one of those things that, when you first start writing, it's one of those things you're like, how is this going to work? How am I going to monetize this? Is there going to be distribution? Who's going to read this? Like you have all these thoughts inside of your mind. And so when I started my journey as an author, I self-published and I was super excited just to have a book done. And then as I went more into my journey of writing and copywriting and sales page writing and book writing, and I did all these things, I realized that having a publisher is massively beneficial because let's just say you as the creative, if you're a creative, genius like me, you're always creating, you're always thinking, you're always like wondering how to get things done or move things in a new direction. Your zone of genius is creation. And as you grow more, you grow an empire, which is I'm going to talk about here, is you grow like a writer's empire, an author empire in an online space or a non-online space. Like it's so important that you outsource the things that are going to free up your time. So one of the things that a publisher does is that outsources you having to distribute your book. Obviously, you still have to market it. You still have to sell it. You still have to say that you've written a book. You have to do all these other things to make money on the back end, from a million ways you can do that. But they really take care of that distribution part for you, where your book is going to get into stores. It's going to get into people's hands. It's going to get in people's eyes that you alone wouldn't do. And so it's really beautiful because it's almost like you're hiring someone who does the manufacturing that's not Amazon, who helps you do the cover design, who already has solid relationships, and you're really allowing your book to be pushed through different things. And so I've really liked it. I've really enjoyed it. And I just can't believe January 4th, tomorrow, is going to be the day that my first book, Live Your Truth, comes out 2.0 version through a publisher. It's just like, oh my God, if this has happened in 4 years of my career, I can't even imagine what 20 years is going to look like or 30 years is going to look like. And so I'm just super excited and it's going to be great. So if you have not, what I want to say, if you have not gotten my first book, Live Your Truth, it's really the subtitle to it is Begin Your Dream. begin your journey to freedom and healing. This is the book for you. And this is the book that led me to forever leave my corporate job and allowed me to travel the world full time. This is the book that let me overcome my long-term cancer diagnosis. This is the book that, changed everything for me. This is the book where I literally released all past limiting, like suffering, limiting beliefs, mindsets that were holding me back. This was the book that, I literally put my heart and soul into it when I had no idea how to write a book. I had no idea, all these memories I was holding on to. And I started to really face my past, like the demons of my past, the stories of my past, the things that were not letting me move forward. And I even remember, after this book, I remember looking at my flatmate at the time and I was like, oh my God, no wonder I was so fucked up, because I had all of these things that happened to me that I was harboring within me and I couldn't be free. And I mean, that's so not nice to say about yourself. So I probably shouldn't have said that. I don't recommend anyone else saying that to themselves or about themselves, but it was how I felt. Like, I felt like I was this girl that like always had these problems and this drama that was just never ending. And it's like, even if I didn't want the drama, it's like the drama was just there. I couldn't do anything to not get away from it. Or like, I would have these extreme emotional lash outs at people, or like, I would be so frustrated at like, why are people treating me like this? Or why is this happening? And then I would literally like lash out on them. Like, I remember I had a manager in New Zealand and I lashed out on him one time because it was like, I just couldn't take it. I was in an office with 4 guys every single day and they're engineers. Like, I mean, literally 2 + 2 is 4. Like, there is no 0.00001 difference. Like, the line is the line. And obviously for someone who's very creative like myself, that is such a hard working environment to be in, because I'm with 3 guys who are all grew up basically in the same area. I mean, they've traveled somewhat, but they've never really lived outside their country. I've already traveled to 30 something countries at that time. I'm in a brand new country. They all got married super young. They all were like having babies. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But it's just me in that environment. I mean, there's no balance. I'm so outcasted. I'm so wildly different. You're showing up to an office where there's just no, I'm a girl, they're a guy. Like, there's just no connection. There's no relation. And so one time I just kept all this stuff in because I felt like everyone was against me and I lashed out. And he was like, hey, you can't just lash out. Like, I didn't even know you were feeling this way. And that was like when I started to realize like, oh my God, I may have some relating issues, like some issues in knowing how to connect properly or like relate to people. And that's when I started to do deeper work. And that's when I started to realize like, I'm not living my truth. I'm in an environment that is literally sucking me. Like, sure, it's good money, but I'm not being true to myself. So how, like, if I was being true to myself, why would I be showing up to an environment with 3 guys who I just know this is nothing? Like, all the meetings were like, when is this meeting going to be done? I had zero interest in being present in those meetings. Like, it was like speaking another language that I had no interest in learning that language. And this is really Live Your Truth. This was my first book, like the beginning of how do you begin to live your truth? How do you begin to become aware that you are the one who's forcing yourself to be in environments that are not going to let you thrive. You are the one that's in environments that are not guiding you to a fulfillment, to an expansion, to a truth, to what you knew you came here to live. And that's really what this book represents. And it's one of those books that, I mean, not only that, it does give you like the steps of how to overcome that, how to get out of it, but it gives you the steps to magic. It's like the entering portal into the world of magic, of like the nonlinear thinking, the beauty, the bliss, I don't know, all of it. Like, this is the book for that. And so, let me think about anything I wanted to say. What I wanted to say, what is alive and present with me this whole month, the month of January, I highly recommend go to Amazon, buy the book, the 2.0 version. It'll be here. You'll see it. It says Colleen Live Your Truth. It's comes out in the 4th. So it's shipping tomorrow. And when you get it, take a screenshot of it, send it to me on any of my social media platforms, the Colleen Gallagher, or my email or my website, wherever. And we have a free talk. Well, it's not free, but the talk that I'm giving for the book. So just like I did for my 3rd book on Uncompromised Life, I did a virtual book talk. I'm going to do a virtual book talk for this book as well. But if you buy the book, it's free instead of the $111 that we'll start promoting at the end of the month. So I highly recommend to go to Amazon. If this is you, if you know you're looking to start 2022 off super strong, like this was the book. This was the book that was the year that I changed my life. Like in 2018, I wrote the book. It came out February and I was already traveling the world. I was already doing the things I knew I wanted to do. So what I want to share, what's alive and present inside of me is that if this is your year to be you, this is your year to fully give yourself that permission of I'm going to be me. I'm going to stand up and say, this is what I am. I'm going to make a empire. Like I couldn't have imagined this one book led to 3 books, led to 25 online programs. We're going to have our first training program this year, my master's, my PhD, my other products, my crystalline, my healing box, my magical coin, my magical oracle deck. I couldn't tell you guys just from one book what have been brought. And that's why I say it's like the opening to a magical journey. It's the portal to the world of magic. It's really what it represents. So, oopsies, 1 second. So I just want to make sure that each of you listening here know that it's possible. This is an amazing book. Anyone can be a writer. And I think that's, I guess the more of this podcast, it's really more like a motivational step up of like, anyone can be an author. Anyone can be a writer. Anyone can create a career out of writing like I have by literally creating a digital empire. Like I literally started with videos and writing. Now I mostly do my podcast and writings. I'm not in videos as much, not because I don't want to be. It's just honestly, you guys, the time, because I'm always reading or I'm always writing. And so it's like between the two, I guess I've just been more focused on my writing than I have been on my live videos. But to be fair, my content, like my courses behind the scene, I mean, I have at least 3 to 4 calls a week on video for my clients. So it's not like, I guess I've still about evened it out. It's just, I don't have as many free videos I do. That's probably a better way to say it. But my free content of writing is still there. My free content on my podcast is still there. But I can imagine just from one book, Living My Truth, Live Your Truth, how to find, speak, and live your truth. Like this process that I created, it's 5, but that's how the 5 steps are broken into. I couldn't imagine. And excuse me. I hope for you that when you listen to this, you go, you know what, I'm going to begin the journey, like she's sharing, to start my journey to freedom, to start my journey to healing. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be it. And from that place, you trust yourself. And from that place, you act. And from that place, you just keep going and you do the 1% thing a day, one thing that's going to bring you 1% closer to being in alignment of how you're feeling on the inside is actually what's happening on the outside around you. I know that can be a challenge for people, but it was a challenge for me. And I think we all, like, I don't know if we ever fully like have it where it's 100%, but I think we get really dang close. And I think like I was even watching the Paris and Love, her Paris and Love series on Peacock. And even Kathy Hilton, who, I mean, that family is, really set for many generations. She was even saying like, this is the first time in her life, the last 2 years, where she's actually not cared what people thought or having this picture perfect family look, that she's just going to be her. And now look, I mean, the past year, really months, Kathy Hilton has become a pop icon just because she's hilarious. And she says all these funny things. And like even Paris Hilton coming out and sharing everything that she went through as a child and these boarding schools that she went to. I think these are tough things, but she's even learning, as Paris Hilton saying, like, I don't like to say no. I can't say no to people, like whatever that it is. And I think each of you listening to this, it's like the journey to living your truth. It's never too late to start. You're always right on time. You're always exactly where you're meant to be. And it's like trusting that process, trusting that faith. And this podcast episode, I want it to represent a moment for you where I heard something, whether it was YouTube or a podcast, but I heard something, I went and bought a book. And from that book, it changed my life. And I know Live Your Truth 1.0 self-published has changed so many people's lives. I mean, there's at least 300 people I think we've had buy it, maybe a little bit more. And those 300 people, like some of them said it was the best book. Like it's changed her life. One of my clients, like she's made her own program now and she's going to have clients enrolling for her. And she's like being part of it and taking action. And I have other people who have read it and they've been healed from their disease that their body is going through. Like, it's such a beautiful book. It's such a beautiful representation. I know that it can be scary because it's like, well, it's not going to work for me. It's always going to work for everyone but me. But it's like, you have to take the one step a day, the one action thing that's going to bring you closer to change and transformation. You can't just say, not, it's not going to work for me. And you're not doing anything proactively to make it work. Like, you can't just do it one time either. Like, you can't just go, let's say, to the bank one time and deposit money and expect money to be deposited for the rest of your life, right? It's a constant process. You can automate it once you have, like, self-deposit and all those other ways, right? Where you can automate alignment, you can automate truth, you can automate feeling good once you have a practice of consistently doing it. But it's like, nothing will change. You're right. And nothing has worked for you because you haven't stayed consistent. You've let the little thing, the negative thing, deter you from your path. Like, imagine a plane, even a plane, when they say that a guy who's driving, or woman or man who's driving the plane, they have to constantly in flight re-steer it 1% or 2% back on track because the wind naturally blows it. It's like, you have to constantly be an active participant in your life to move yourself the 1% back onto the path, because there is going to be turbulence. And if you let the turbulence mark you off the course, that's not anyone else's fault but yours. And that's you not living your truth. That's you not being in alignment. And so I don't know, in this book, I just give so many great examples of how that happens and how we can better process through that so that we can feel more whole, feel more aligned, feel more truthful, and live a life that's incredible and do our part in making this world a better place. So I kind of talked a lot, but that's no surprise. And I kind of talked fast, but that's no surprise. But when I just get going and get channeling like that, it is, you guys can hear it. Like, now Colleen's back. I should talk about a whole episode on that channeling. We do have an episode, but you can physically hear and you can see in my body when I'm more relaxed in my body and I'm present, versus like when an energy is in me and it's really going and it's really delivering information. It's like that information, that connection is coming from something higher than me, that I'm just, my body becomes a vessel to transmit, or becomes available for that energy to come through and pierce your energy field, pierce your soul, pierce your mind, so that you can become who you need to become, so you can take the action. And that's really what this podcast is. I mean, that's what everything you do should be. It should be inspiring you into action, or inspiring you, even being still, inspiring you into stillness is still an action. It's still, I'm going to actively say no to all these things so I can sit here in silence and breathe. So be the active participant, be a writer of your life, be a creator of your life. Make sure to go to Amazon and make sure to get the book. It's super important that you screenshot it and you send it so you get the talk for free, which will be January 1st. But the sooner you get it and the more you just can commit, read a page a day, just one page a day, the better it's going to be. And those chapters in that book are very short. My first book, like, it was very short, digestible chapters and sub chapters for the process to be very easy and simple and digestible, because the journey to healing is can be scary. It can be daunting. So anyway, I love you. And if you do want to go deeper on this month, I am launching my Create, Write, Share, Receive course. It's a 4-week course where I teach you how to create your creative lifestyle in 4 weeks. People really love it. It's a phenomenal, amazing course. Excuse me. I'm doing it live. So the link will be here, or you can go to any of my social medias and you'll find the links in my post. But that's going to be great. It's going to be starting January 13th. So enrollment before then, but the pre-enrollment will end this Friday. So you definitely want to get in sooner. When I run my live courses, it's better to do them live. I mean, obviously self-study is great. You do it at your own pace. There's still so much value, but obviously when you run it live with me, you get one-on-one attention. You can ask me any questions. I'm very present throughout the whole experience. You get other people. So you grow a sense of community, knowing that you're not the only one trying to do this and get out of where you are and get into a better space and frequency in your life. So, anyway, I love you. Please, please, please go to Amazon and get the book. The link is in here, or get the one that's Live Your Truth. And it says Morgan James. It comes out tomorrow. screenshot me when you get it, and we will get you the details to attend the live training on February 1st. So I love you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful moment in time when you receive this, and know that you are right where you're meant to be, and living your truth is